Hey guys, PrinceofMacedon here, gonna do a commentary video for Rome Total War. This is a multiplayer battle, and this is part of my What If series where I pit two legendary commanders against each other. These are guys who have never faced each other in combat, hence the name What If Battle. And in this fight I'm going to pit the legendary Roman rebel Sertorius, and he's going up against the legendary Athenian commander, the hero of Marathon. His name is none other than Miltiades the Younger. And the army that I gave Quintus Sertorius was his initial army when the Lusitanians first invited him into Lusitania. And Plutarch described this army as having 2,600 so-called Romans. Probably so-called Romans because only like half of them are Romans. The rest were probably Roman trained, you know, like natives. Then he had 700 African troops, and some people don't know if they were cav or if they were foot units, because the sources do conflict on the descriptions of those African units that he brought with him. Then he had 4,000 Lusitanian infantry, who Plutarch describes as being targeteers, so that's probably his contratti force, which is basically infantry, light infantry force, who used like throwing spears and whatnot. Then he had 700 Lusitanian horsemen, and they served as his personal bodyguard. As for the army of Miltiades the Younger, I gave him the army that he had at the Battle of Marathon, and that consisted of about 10,000 Athenian heavily armored hoplites and 1,000 of their allies, and I'm going to use this regular hoplite unit to represent their allies, and this is the 1,000 Plataeans, and they are indicated here by one unit of regular hoplites. Anyways, Sertorius, he was a legendary Roman commander. He used guerrilla warfare, and he used guerrilla warfare against these Roman commanders because he was using mainly foreign troops who were not used to standing toe-to-toe against Romans. So he used the resource that he had to fight these Roman armies. But keep in mind that Sertorius was a Roman commander himself, but he happened to be a Roman commander who could fight outside the system, and that made him extremely dangerous. Look at my my dispositions here. I've got my guys all around his troops, and they're hiding. So as this guy strolls through with his phalanx, I got my guys in positions to throw their javelins. And here's my general unit here. This is Sertorius himself. Anyway, Sertorius, he led a very adventurous lifestyle. He fled to, well, he didn't really flee, but he went to Hispania, that's present-day Portugal, Spain. He went there when Sulla took command in Rome, so he tried to lead an open revolt against the Romans. But once he did that, then the Romans under Sulla sent a commander against Sertorius. Here's my Catrati using their guerrilla tactics to harass these hoplites. But anyways, yeah, I think the guy's name was Aeneas, and that was a commander sent by Sulla. And when Sertorius heard about Aeneas coming, that he sent one of his own subordinates to fortify the Pyrenees to prevent Aeneas from coming over. Aeneas did not find a way across the Pyrenees because, as I said, Sertorius' subordinate was fortifying that spot. But through treachery, they were able to kill Sertorius' subordinate, and from there, they were able to take the Pyrenees. And so because of that, Sertorius had to flee Spain. And when he got to Africa, he landed in Mauritania, but I think he landed somewhere in the ghetto of Mauritania because Plutarch describes his men as being attacked by these native troops. Alright, so here my opponent's chasing me with his general unit here, so I'm going to turn back, isolate, and use swarming tactics to attack his general unit here. So yeah, I'm using guerrilla tactics to divide his army here. See, these guys are ready to pounce. He does not see my guys, even though they're right next to him. Where was I? Alright, so Sertorius fled to Mauritania. He got bushwhacked by native troops there. So from there he had to flee back to Spain, but when he got to Spain, he got kicked out of Spain again, so he had to go back to Africa. But this time he was actually rescued by Cilician pirates, and they first took him to this place, this little island, I forgot what it's called, but it was garrisoned by Aeneas' troops, and those are the guys who Sulla first sent. But so this guy had a garrison on this island, and Sertorius was able to defeat that garrison. But from there, Aeneas sent a fleet against Sertorius, but a huge storm and wind blew his fleet in two different directions, so Sertorius had to he had to flee to the shore, and that's where he fought against some more Romans and Mauritanians. But it was there that he built up a reputation, and the Lusitanians heard of Sertorius, so they invited him into his into their kingdom, or into their territory, so that he can be their commander. And so Sertorius naturally agreed to this, and he brought with him that army that Plutarch described, and it numbered about 8,000 troops, and 2,600 of them were Roman or Roman trained, and the rest were foreigners. Anyways, here I've got this isolated unit of armored hoplites. I'm going to bushwhack them from all sides. These are my my Scutari. They are Roman trained. And first I'm going to harass with my javelins. I'm going to toss at those guys, and then I'm going to charge at this one unit here of armed hoplites. I want to try to rout them before the rest of these hoplites get there. So while all these guys are marching towards me, well, not all of them are. These guys are just standing back. But once they start moving, I'm going to activate these hidden units here. And that illustrates the way that Sertorius would have fought. He would use like unconventional guerrilla tactics against these Romans. This is the guy who knew how the Roman military system worked, and he exploited it using guerrilla tactics. Very deadly combination. And the Lusitanians and the Africans that he had with him, they thought of this guy as the next Hannibal. They called him the Roman Hannibal, actually. Anyways, I'm going to use hammer naval strikes and swarming tactics to pick apart these isolated units of armored hoplites. Slowly but surely, he is moving the rest of his army, though. See that? Now they're all coming to assist. He sees the danger that his troops are in. So look at this. My guys are going to give chase here. They're coming out of hiding. Oh, by the way, my Africa troops here, these are the guys I was talking about. These guys are the ones that people don't know if they were mounted or not mounted, so I just gave him the Libyan. I made him be the Libyan units here. Anyways, just a huge forest fight here. And we actually routed Miltiades the Younger.
Now he flees the
but yeah, so this guy came into Lusitania, and he fought off a bunch of Roman commanders. Eventually Sulla took this guy seriously, and he sent his best commanders, and that was Metellus and Pompey. And when Sertorius first went up against Pompey, it was a pretty sweet battle. Sertorius drew him out with a siege, so Pompey tried to counter-siege Sertorius, who was laying siege to a city. But what Pompey didn't know was that Sertorius had another set of troops. So Pompey thought he was besieging the besieger, but he in turn got besieged. So it was everyone was besieging everyone. But Pompey had to retreat. And he also fought against Metellus first. And Metellus was also turned back in a siege because he didn't bring enough provisions in his siege. Eventually they were able to unite forces, but even after the united forces, Sertorius was able to raise new troops, and he was able to use guerrilla tactics again to drain these Roman commanders dry, and they had to flee Spain and Portugal. And Pompey asked for more troops, but eventually Sertorius had a very sad ending. He was assassinated by one of his own allies. It was a Roman guy by the name of Perpenna. He got jealous of Sertorius, so he assassinated him. And when he took command of Sertorius' rebellion in Spain, Pompey easily defeated this new commander, and he had him executed. So without Sertorius, this rebellion was doomed, because Sertorius was a military genius. But anyways, there's my guy. We got this Greek army where we want them. See this unit of hoplites? Those are the Plataeans. They were routing, but they came back from routing. I should have chased them down. I was so upset by that. Anyways, in one of the fights against Pompey, these guys, the Libyan troops, they actually took Pompey's horse. They stole him. They stole his horse from Pompey. That's why people think that these guys were mounted. But in another source, it describes the Libyans as being really fast on their feet. So people don't know if they were light infantry or if they were mounted. So that's a debate. Anyways, I depicted Sertorius' army as being fully upgraded because these guys were very veteran units. They had all this experience in previous rebellions in Spain against the Romans there. And look at that, I lost Sertorius.
Lies dead because of
How,
his
how
foolishness.
sad.
His men
Cool thing
will
about Sertorius, he had one eye, and Plutarch described this guy sharing that feature amongst other military geniuses, such as Hannibal, Antigonus the Great. I'm sorry, Antigonus the One-Eyed, Philip II of Macedon. They all had one eye, and that was a feature they all had in common with Sertorius. And as I was saying, Sertorius is one of my top 3 or 4 Roman commanders, alongside Julius Caesar, Belisarius, and Scipio Africanus. And my sources for Sertorius are Plutarch and Appian. I don't use Wikipedia. I only skim through Wikipedia when I feel like it, but I use books for my sources, guys. I suggest you guys do the same. Anyways, we rout this Greek hoplite army.